If ever I should meet him again, you will find out who is the best man in the duel.
3.
3. I'm Lieutenant Fakenham.
Though I cannot say how. I believe you have cheated me.
Have you done with my lady?
This is the Godfather of cinema, and thanks for joining me for my analysis of director Stanley Kubrick's 1975 period drama film, Barry Lyndon, also written and produced by Kubrick and based on William Makepeace Thakeray's 1844 novel, The Luck of Barry Lyndon. In the mid-1750s, in the Kingdom of Ireland, a man is killed in a duel, in a dispute over a horse sale. Years later, his son, Redmond Barry, becomes infatuated with his older cousin, Nora Brady. A British Army captain named John Quinn is also infatuated with Nora Brady. But what separates the two men in Nora Brady's mind is money. John Quinn has it. Redmond Barry does not, and to her, Redmond Barry is a boy and British Army Captain John Quinn a man. And she makes this distinction clear to Redmond Barry at a military demonstration involving Captain Quinn, 100 English troops, mounted officers, and a small military band. Nora dances with Captain Quinn 5 times, knowing full well that this will upset Redmond Barry, and it also does not help that Captain Quinn is higher on the social ladder in that he is a nobleman, a man of property, and a man with a title. Nevertheless, Redmond Barry challenges Captain Quinn to a duel with pistols for Nora's hand in marriage.
No!
3.
And wins not only the duel but also, and more importantly, the respect of his second and friend, Jack Grogan, for challenging the captain to an honorable duel. Redmond Barry enlists in the infantry division of Gale's Regiment of Foot in the British Army in what will become the 7 Years' War between 1756 through 1763, pitting England and Prussia against Austria, France, Sweden, and Russia. For compensation, Redmond Barry receives a shilling, clothing, arms, and accoutrements, but Redmond Barry is not concerned about things. At least not yet. For now, he sees military service as the most honorable way of earning for himself a title and distinction. If a coward like Captain John Quinn could acquire a title and distinction through military service, he could do so as well. During a meal break in training, Redmond Barry receives a cup of grease instead of soup. When he complains about this, the bully and biggest of the recruits takes a swig out of his cup of grease and spits it out, laughing at Redmond Barry, who cracks a joke about the bully's dominant wife. And the bully challenges Redmond Barry to a bare-knuckle fist fight, which Redmond Barry accepts and wins in front of the entire regiment. And through this feat of bravery and skill, Redmond Barry wins respect from his fellow recruits as challenging Captain John Quinn to a duel over his older cousin. Nora Brady wins respect from his second and friend Jack Grogan, with whom he is reunited in the British Army in the infantry division of Gale's Regiment of Foot. But after seeing his second and friend Jack Grogan lose his life in a skirmish with a rear guard of the French army, Redmond Barry loses his desire for military life and he deserts the British Army. On his way to war-free territory in Holland, Redmond Barry is stopped by a Prussian army captain. Redmond Barry explains to Captain Pottsdorf that he's headed to to Bremen to deliver an urgent letter. However, Pottsdorf points out to Redmond Barry that he is heading in the wrong direction and asks for his identity papers, which Redmond Barry produces from the pocket of the uniform jacket he'd stolen from a gay British officer by the name of
Lieutenant Fakenham.
Looking over these papers carefully, Pottsdorf then offers Redmond Barry a meal, a proper map, and a night's lodging. Over dinner, Pottsdorf questions Redmond Barry and catches him in a lie by asking him for the name of his reporting officer at Bremen. Barry's answer is General Williamson,
General Percival Williamson,
who has been dead for 10 years. Pottsdorf arrests him for deserting the British Army.
I'm a British officer. You are a liar.
And conscripts him into the Prussian army after making him run through a gauntlet of Prussian officers with leather whips.
Punishment was incessant.
But again, Redmond Barry takes advantage of chance and opportunity in the Battle of Ohrdruf by putting his own life in danger, running into a burning fort and saving Captain Pottsdorf. And for this brave act, Redmond Barry receives a lavish commendation in addition to 2 Frederick d'Ors from the King of Prussia himself. I'll pause here to point out the significance of Holland, the neutral territory of the war. Holland is a metaphor of Redmond Barry's changing outlook on how he believes that he must go about moving up the social ladder. He starts out through honorable deeds.
No! No!
3.
But after using a gay British officer's uniform and name to desert the British Army,
And how empty life would be without you.
to escape the same fate as his second in friend, Captain Jack Grogan, who loses his life on the battlefield, then using that same gay British officer's uniform and name to secure lodging for 3 days in the home of a Prussian woman whose husband is away fighting in the war. In seeking the neutral territory of Holland, Redmond Barry has decided to take the wrong way to obtain a name for himself, as Pottsdorf points out, by letting him know that he was heading in the wrong direction to Bremen, referring to not just his geographical location, but also to his new way of getting a title and distinction for himself. The wrong direction is also a metaphor of Redmond Barry's decision to switch sides from England and Prussia to their enemies, Austria, France, Sweden, and Russia. Redmond Barry's new direction is also implied by the name of the gay British officer whose uniform and name he steals, which happens to be
Captain, I'm Lieutenant Fakenham.
the root of which is fake, and foreshadows him dropping his own name to take on the name of others, including that of Lyndon, through marriage to an old man's widow.
Have you done with my lady, Mr. Barry?
Before leaving his home in Kilwagen, Redmond Barry was an idealist who still believed that bravery and honor were the only methods for obtaining a title and distinction. He admired his father, who died honorably in a duel over a horse dispute. But after challenging Captain John Quinn to a duel,
No! No!
3.
winning and having to leave Kilwagen to avoid prosecution for killing the man, his second in friend, Captain Jack Grogan, whom he reunites with in the British Army, confides to him the truth that John Quinn had survived their duel because Redmond Barry's pistol had been loaded with toll, and because Nora Brady's family were in debt to their eyeballs, and Captain John Quinn had promised to pay off all of their debts, and the Bradys could not take the chance of losing their meal ticket in a duel over Nora Brady, who goes on to marry Captain John Quinn and to have his baby. In this, Redmond Barry learns two important lessons about both the world and himself: that money counts for more than courage and honor in the eyes of women. And although he wants a title and distinction for himself, he is not prepared to die for either. Inadvertently, Redmond Barry stumbles upon an easier way to obtain the title and distinction that he wants, by seizing upon the opportunity to get them from someone else, by stealing a gate officer's uniform, identification papers, name, and horse to desert the British Army,
And how empty life would be without you.
by his chance meeting with a woman on a farm who invites him into her home for supper, and a 3-day stopover while her husband is away fighting in the war. And although Redmond Barry is later captured by the Prussian army, he seizes on yet another opportunity by becoming a police officer for the Prussian government. Pottsdorf wants him to go to Austria to spy on
Chevalier de Balibari.
whom they suspect of being an Irishman pretending to be a Frenchman. But upon seeing Chevalier, a fellow Irishman, in person, Redmond Barry becomes homesick and blows his cover and switches sides. And in return, Chevalier assists Redmond Barry in escaping Austria, disguised as himself. Here's how. The Prince of Tübingen owes a gambling debt to Chevalier but refuses to pay up. The prince is also in an affair with Frederick the Great, and to prevent Chevalier from killing the Prussian king's lover in a duel over the debt, Captain Pottsdorf decides to deport Chevalier out of the country. One morning, Prussian officers show up at Chevalier's home and hand Redmond Barry, disguised as Chevalier, a small bag containing 2,000 Frederick d'Ors. Then, by luxury carriage, they transport Redmond Barry to Saxony and freedom to reunite with the real Chevalier, who had snuck out of Prussia the night before. Again, I'd like to thank you for watching my analysis of director Stanley Kubrick's 1975 period drama film Barry Lyndon. And if you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the Godfather of Cinema, and hit the bell to be notified of my future uploads. I will see you soon.